I'm John Lee with St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. Today is Friday, June, 18th, 2021. And we're here for the weekly updates with Miss Kathy Davis and Chris Bosler. And Kathy, thanks for being here. And what do you guys have for us today?
Thanks, John. It's good to see everybody. And I want to let Chris go first today. What's going on in the city is very confusing, but he's going to explain it as best he can. And then just tell us that Jefferson and St. Charles are normal now. But he has to leave to do something else. So let's hear from him to begin with.
All right. Good morning, everyone. The city is it's kind of a moving target. They keep teasing us with, giving us a little that folks like us don't complain quite as much, but not giving us everything. So the way the current St. Louis City moratorium states is anything non-rent related, you can evict like normal. It's on rent cases through the end of this month. You can only schedule evictions on judgments that were previously taken up to April 16th. So if you took judgments April 17th, going forward, you're waiting until July 1st. What happens on July 1st is anyone's guess. I would hope that they would just open it wide open because the sheriff isn't particularly backed up from what I've seen. It's just, I think what's going on at this point is Judge Stelzer is trying to give folks time to get that aid money before they're evicted. So I think that's the sole reason for doing any of this at this point. But it's also possible and I haven't heard any news about whether the CDC order is getting extended, past June 30th. So it's possible they just cut us wide open on the 1st. So we're all waiting with bated breath. That being said, if you've been holding off on new cases, I would be optimistic by the time that you file a new case, get it through the court system. You're talking probably the end of July at the earliest at this point. We'll be pretty much back to normal as far as you won't be slowed down by any moratorium on that front. I can't promise that, but that's what we're hoping. The big thing in the city now is it's just the length of time it takes to get through the process. If any of you've done these on your own, you know how long these virtuals, nothing happens on the first court date anymore. It just takes long because the courts are giving everyone time to try to apply for aid. They are, at least on my dockets, my judge is keeping a pretty close rein on people and strongly encouraging them. There's a contact they give to somebody to help apply for the safer money, and money's getting paid. But it does take longer. I'm pushing the judge to let us, at least on our landlord tenant cases, to let us back in the courtroom in person because things get done when you're face to face with somebody versus over the computer. People tend to have a tendency to, let's just argue about it, move forward. When you're in the courtroom, more things get done, things can move faster. My judge is considering that, allowing landlord cases on a docket call back in person while letting the collection credit card cases, kind of things like that, stay on virtual. So we'll see how that goes. I'm optimistic, by the end of the summer, we'll be back in person, more optimistic than I was before that, now that I'm hearing the judge of being open to splitting up the dockets and letting us back in person. They're already letting us do trials in person if we're asking for it. So I do think we're getting closer to that point. So it's slowly but surely, I think, probably fingers crossed by the end of the summer, you're looking at assuming that the cases keep going where they're going, you're looking at a fairly, hopefully normal procedure at that point, and we can finally kind of do that. What'll really, really kind of speed things up is once all those aid program money runs out, then if we're in person, then the judge will have no incentive to slow things down. It'll be just plow through. That being said, keep applying for the aid, keep encouraging your tenants to do so, because as far as I know, there's still plenty of money out there. And the judge is going to make you slow down and try to apply for it anyway. So you might as well, encourage the ones you can to do it. But if you have tenants who are being difficult and not responding, the judge will yell at them to apply for the aid and walk them how to do it with the right people. So we can, I've had clients successfully use us to force tenants to apply for the aid, and the money's getting paid, and, everyone's happy. And for the most, I've gotten one clients get $9,000-$10,000 in back money in certain cases, depending on how much the tenant owes. So not everybody, so I don't want to get your hopes up for, someone's got $15,000, but for the right people, they can get you a lot of money until it runs out. And I don't think anybody knows when that's going to happen. It could be next week. It could be 6 months from now. I don't, it's hard to say. As Kathy said, Jefferson and St. Charles is wide open. Everything's in person, no mask mandates, no delays. The only thing you possibly run into is a CDC declaration. So keep an eye out for that, but everything's fairly normal on those. So that's all I've got on the city and those counties. If anybody has any questions, I can stay around for a little bit to see about that stuff, but then I've got to run.
Are you a little light on work to do today? You seem to just be walking around calling people. What are you doing right now?
No? Anybody? No? Kathy, what do you have on the county, I guess?
Yeah. I've got a couple things to tell you. We're zipping back into normal a lot more quickly than we thought we would. And of course, that is causing some, logistical issues. It's like turning a cruise ship. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen slowly. And at least in the case of the county, always in ways that we don't anticipate. The Judge Burton, our presiding judge in the county, had a town hall meeting for us on Wednesday. And he went through like types of courts. I didn't realize how many different types of courts we have. We have circuit civil, we have associate civil, we have treatment court, we have veterans court, we have municipal courts, we have traffic court, we have commissioners, we have judges, we have probate court, we have civil court, associate civil, circuit civil, small claims, and then there's the 20 different kinds of family court. And the family court people are very high maintenance in St. Louis County, I can tell you. So they went through kind of rapid fire, one judge after another, talking about what the different court divisions are going to do. And then Christine and I were just talking this morning. We think we have in-person associate circuit bench trials set for next month, for July 20th. We think that our judge will let us go into court for our docket next Thursday. They are not going to make people show up yet because their summonses gave them the WebEx information. But people are starting, pro se unrepresented people are starting to show up for court just because they are. We had that happen yesterday. So we think that we're going to go to our courtroom next Thursday with our laptops and be prepared to handle people who are in person or are remote or whatever. And our judge is going to let us do that. And I'm glad, because we need to try this out and figure out how it's going to work and what else we need to do. Our judge has cameras and computers set up in his courtroom so that if someone's appearing remotely, they have 3 views of the courtroom. They can see everybody. We will be able to do hybrid court dockets and trials. But, the technology sometimes reacts in ways no one anticipates. And so I think he wants us to be his guinea pigs because, we're good, right? You guys know that. Because Christine and I will show up, we'll be organized, we'll be ready to handle whatever we need to handle. And we'll have Chris to back us up at the office or maybe come with us if necessary. I mean, we'll be on top of it. I did the first oral argument at the Eastern District Court of Appeals in a year and a half on Tuesday. And Judge Gertner, who was the presiding judge, was very complimentary to me and to my opposing counsel, about how we handled it and everything. And they were using us to try out how that would work. And they didn't realize, because they had us sitting at the tables instead of going to the podium, that neither of us would be able to see the time clock. And in the Court of Appeals, you have very strict time requirements. You get 15 minutes and 3 for rebuttal. And they give you warnings at 3 minutes and 2 minutes. And it's like, they're really into their stopwatch there. And we couldn't see it. That was okay because we worked it out that the bailiff would give little gavel taps. But, there's just like all these little minutia that they need to learn about doing things. It looks like for now, if you go to court in St. Louis County, and I think maybe in the city, I'm not sure if Chris covered this, that masks are still going to be required. We think that some judges, if their courtroom is not real populated and we're going to have a trial or something, might let us take our masks off so that everybody can be heard. I think I told you before, I tried a case in Jefferson County in April, and the judge had us all take our masks off because we all said we'd been vaccinated, which hopefully was true, and because the court reporter couldn't hear us with the masks on, couldn't take down all the testimony. So, so we're hopeful that for extended speaking things like that, we'll be able to take the masks off, which is a lot easier. So we're very excited about getting back in court. We're prepared again for anything, you know, while we figure out how to do it. I was just on my call before I came to you today with my Supreme Court Commission on Civil Justice Reform. And they are definitely moving forward with standing committees and subcommittees and meetings, blah, 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 going forward about, you know, people being allowed to appear remote or partially remote and that kind of thing. In the long run, in the short run, there's probably going to be many, many annoying moments, but in the long run, this is going to be very positive. If you are a landlord who is out of town or that kind of thing, you know, previously we had to get you somebody here who could testify or, you know, whatever. It's going to be a lot easier because we think they're going to let us put remote testimony on to some or to a greater extent. I have a landlord who goes to Florida every winter. If we have to try one of his cases, he'll be able to testify from there. He won't have to come back up to the less friendly climes of a St. Louis winter. So ultimately, we think that this virus has, you know, fast forwarded us to a place that hopefully will be better in the long run, but be prepared for some bumps along the way. It's anybody's guess what the CDC moratorium, what's going to happen with that. I still think it's unlikely they'll extend it, given that they kind of did away with mask mandates, but we'll see what happens. I know there's pressure on the federal government to extend that some more. A big problem has been that they've given out all this rent relief money to states and cities, but a lot of those places have booted giving it out to the landlords and the tenants. As always, we're very interested in hearing from you, email or call, whatever's convenient, about your efforts to get this money. If you think that that you're supposed to be getting it or you want to get it or that kind of thing, I would call those numbers, go online through the state or the county or the city and see what you need to do. I think I still continue to believe that the particular problem is St. Louis County, and that while some people are successful in getting the money from them, they seem to have glitches or disconnects in the process. And so therefore, it sounds to me like a tenant can apply and then the paperwork doesn't come to the landlord and then nobody knows what's going on. And I've said this before, but I will say it again. You can call that county EREP number. If you have the tenant's social, date of birth, and their application number, you can check on their application. We have been very successful in doing motions to strike down the CDC declarations where warranted, because some people were not able to testify under oath in any kind of persuasive way about why they hadn't made any payments since last June and why they had supposedly applied for assistance, but nobody in the landlord had ever heard from an agency or a government, you know, or anything. So we've won those, but we've pretty much, we've pretty much discontinued doing them because we think, you know, in another week or two, the whole moratorium is going to be over and we're all going to be okay. If it gets extended, we'll start doing them again. I know at least one other landlord lawyer who aggravated the judge so much by setting 70 of these strike hearings that she denied a couple of them and then continued all the rest of them for a month. So I think our strategy of cherry picking the real egregious ones and then creeping forward, you know, with other ones enabled us to win those and to do really well for those. The sheriff seems to be caught up, you know, all that seems to be going really well. One other thing I guess I can share with you is you may have seen in the media that there was that woman who had the table with food and everything and was going around and giving out CDC declarations to tenants. And a landlord sued her for various things. It was really a stretch of a lawsuit, and there probably was a better strategy, but they lost big time. They got their hats handed to them. But I do sympathize with the idea that not only was this person going onto the landlord's property to post these notices, but she was posting them on the wrong doors. So the landlord was getting panic calls from tenants who weren't behind in their rent going, why am I getting this notice that I can avoid eviction? And, I need to apply for assistance. So that was very aggravating to that particular landlord. It might've been a better strategy to send a letter to the lady saying, you've been coming on my property. You're not allowed on my property. I'm barring you from my property. And if you come on again, you'll be trespassing and you'll be arrested. That would have been a more successful tack to take. And I would still suggest that if any of you are having trouble with that. We know that same lady came to some of our clients' properties, but we were able to deal with it. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Oh, and also I told John earlier, I'm not available for the next 2 weeks. Next Friday, I'm in person court. And the Friday after that is when we're celebrating 4th of July. So I won't see you until next month. But as always, feel free to call us or email us if anything comes up. And if something crazy happens in the meantime, I'll get with John and we'll figure out how to hop back on and tell you. But we think we're just on the home stretch. Can you believe that it was like a year ago, a little more than a year ago, that Chris and Christine and I were sitting in my conference room, passing around my cell phone, doing this call with you? I mean, who knew? Who knew that over a year later? Thank you for putting up with us for over a year. We hope that it's been helpful. And if anyone has any questions or comments, I'll take them. If not, I hope you're all doing great, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
It's been so great, Kathy. Thank you so much. You've been here the whole way for us, and I kind of missed your little cell phone. That was kind of fun.
Well, you know how you record it and you put it on your website?
Mhm.
My husband told me, he goes, you got to quit doing that on your cell phone. It looks really weird.
It's been great, though. We really appreciate it. We continue to appreciate you very much. You, Chris, and Christina. You've been just so invaluable for all of us, keeping us up to date on everything. So thank you so
It's
much.
really been an adventure, and hopefully
Excuse
some good things will come of it with respect to technology in the courts. Yeah.
I have a quick question. You may not be able to answer it, Kathy, but I've been hearing about a PPO, I think it is, grant. Is that just for people who have employees, or is that for landlords?
Well, I know that there was PPP money.
PPP, okay.
Yeah. And I think that money is gone now.
Oh,
I mean, that was money that businesses could get. Is that what you're talking about?
that is what, but
Yeah.
I was under the impression you had to have employees on your payroll. I thought it was monies for employees, so the employees could pay their,
Yes.
their workers. So I
Right.
didn't try to apply for it. But
Well,
it was,
I will say this. I think the money is over now, although I'm not 100% sure. That money initially was basically for employee retention. I can tell you that I got 2 PPP loans. I've gotten one forgiven already, and I'm going to get the other one forgiven. And the purpose was to, if you were able to retain your employees. They did enlarge the program at one point for individual contractors, self-employed people, that kind of thing, to be eligible for it. The things that I heard about the program were going forward, my advice going forward, if it's too late to apply for that, which I think it is, my advice going forward is deal with a local bank and have a great relationship with your banker. Make sure they have a relationship with the SBA, because my bank, which I will tell you is Lindell Bank, was extremely helpful to me and made sure that we got the money both times quickly. And our forgiveness process for the first one was very, very simple. We did not have the problems that people are having. And I know that I've had friends who have applied through like big banks like Bank of America or whatever, and no one would ever call them back, and they had a lot more issues. So going forward, as a small business person, which a landlord basically is, as a person, in St. Louis, I would get a relationship with a smaller local bank and get to know them and befriend them, maybe take out some loans that you can pay back right away, make a little money for them, that kind of thing. Keep your accounts there. And then, because that's what we did. And then when we needed help, our bank helped us. And, with the courts shut down and all the stuff that was going on with the landlord cases, we had a significant drop in our business. And those PPP loans enabled me to keep everybody on the payroll and keep everybody's health and dental benefits and retirement and all that kind of stuff. which I love my people. And I would have hated to, put any of them in a bad spot or have them lose their job or anything. We
Okay.
also kept paying our landlord.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else got anything? All right, it's great to see you guys. And I'm hoping that John will tell us soon that we will have an in-person meeting and we'll be able to see everybody in person again.
We are
I'm
working
sure-
on it.
I'm sure their board is on top of that. Yeah, John
Yeah,
and Lloyd. Thank you
Kathy.
guys.
Thank you
Okay,
so
we'll
much.
see you soon.
Take care. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Chris, thank you.